Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of 10 Minute Tuesday. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. In today's episode, I got my guy Jeremiah in the building. Jeremiah, what's going on, bro?
It's good to talk to you.
Oh, man, thanks for taking the time out to be on 10 Minute Tuesday, man. So, we've done a number of these, so let's go ahead and dive into it. Jeremiah, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, I'm Jeremiah Tamanga-Darr. I am a data strategist, just getting into independent consulting world. Spent the last 15 years supporting companies in data governance, data architecture, lots of engineering work as well. So excited to talk to you today and see what goes from there.
Love it, man. So we've done a number of things: architecture, independent consultant. Seen a lot of warehouses, a lot of different things. But at a certain point, you had to get your start. So, what really compels you to get into data to even begin with?
I kind of tripped into it to be honest. My original background's in photography. I was a yacht racing photographer for 4 years, and as much fun as it was, free rum doesn't pay the bills. And so after losing my third camera to saltwater, I went and actually just started working for my dad, who was a geospatial information systems guy. Uh, and he had some consulting work. So I started out in the field with a GPS unit, just collecting data. Had a lot of fun with that. And so I just started learning more about that, learned how to build the data collection systems, make them better. From there, learned how to build databases, learned about normalizing database structures, learned about analytics, and just kind of continued to self-teach myself over the years. And that's really how I got into it. I think my last day in the field was the day that I dropped a very expensive GPS unit under a paper wasp's nest because one of them had stung me. And then I had to figure out how to go back and get the device back. And it was sitting under a nest of angry bees. And I was like, I should probably just go in the office from
Yeah.
here and find someone else to go in the field. But that's how I got into data. And I honestly haven't looked back since.
Love it, love it. So the path is crazy, right? You start one way, you break a camera, and then you break another physical device. And you're like, you know what? Let me go sit down
Yeah.
somewhere and write some code and get some stuff out there.
Don't get me wrong. There are days I miss being out on the water all
Yeah.
day. Just, that was a fun job, but
Love it, love it. So speaking of jobs, one of my favorite questions is to get to know the person. And I love the context of this is where like when I was 16, I was a construction worker and I hated being outside. Or, when I was 17, I worked in movie theaters and I'll never enjoy the smell of popcorn again. So with that in mind, what's been your least favorite job to date?
man, it's a tough question because I'm one of those weird people. I love working. I've had a whole range of jobs, but I guess in that vein, I'll say the least favorite part of one of my jobs, I used to work with home theater, home security system, installation company. I did lots of high-end homes down here in the Potomac Plain area, but being the young guy on the job, I was the one that they sent into the attic to lay on top of the insulation and pull wires. And I don't care how expensive the house is, the attic is still 120 degrees in the summer.
Yeah.
And, you know, so laying up there with a long sleeve shirt on because I went to fiberglass in my skin and just for 3, 4 hours pulling wires. Probably my least favorite job was that aspect of it. Everything else was a lot of fun on that, but now if I don't have to pull another wire again, I'll be a happy
It'd be
camper.
good. That's brutal too, because it's hot, and then you got the clothes on, and you just sweating, and just yeah. Oh man.
And you still, no matter what you do, you're gonna get insulation in your skin and you're itchy and it's not a fun job.
No. All right. So there's a philosophy I live by. It's called failing forward, right? So everything you ever pick up on, it's a lesson that you're gaining. You're never failing. You're just picking up on something.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, what would you consider your biggest failure in your career, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so I guess before I was in my previous role about 2 jobs ago, this was a lesson learned in, I say, leadership, followership, communication, all those things. But we got a new deputy director in, and it was a very hard shift. There was a team around me, about 13 of us, and we loved it. Everything was great. Got a new person in, and it just, I've heard it said people don't quit jobs, they quit managers, and this was, let's just say, I think 5 people quit. And I tried the head-on approach. I mean, we went toe to toe and we battled, and I thought I was doing the right things. I was looking out for the team, I was helping them, and uh, what I learned from that is how to be a little more strategic in my communication, how to communicate up, and also what battles I can actually fight. Because at the end of the day, I ended up leaving and she stuck around, and it was, I didn't help anyone in that case. But I've slowly learned that over the last 7 years of just like choose my battles, and sometimes it's just a matter of saying yes, I'll give that a shot and move on. There's a great story I love from, I think it was Mel Brooks said. Uh, and I guess for the younger folks in the audience, Mel Brooks was a great director, made some good, great comedic director. But he said he used to, the producer would come in and say, "Hey, we want you to make these changes to the scripts," and he would say, "Okay, yeah, no problem." They walk out the room, he threw it in the trash and did his thing anyway, and they never came back. They just forgot about it. So sometimes it's worth just saying, "Hey, I'll give that a shot," and choosing how to approach that challenge.
I feel like age and wisdom comes along with learning lessons, and what I mean by that is like, starting out, and I feel like there's some similarities here, right? Starting out, we want to prove might be the best word, but we're up for the battle, right? We're up for the fight and the energy it takes to try and make the change. But then, you know, growing up and evolving, you're like, okay, how can I be more strategic with this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's learning that it's not about winning those individual battles. It's looking at the long-term objective and figuring out if I lose this one, but we still move forward, that's success.
Yeah.
Um,
And you said something really great that I think a lot of people, because my target audience for this are people starting out or trying to get into their career. It's leadership, it's the managers. Like, it's not the job oftentimes, it is the people you're under that can cause so much friction in what you're doing.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I've learned, one thing I've learned is to just ask a lot of questions. And keep asking questions. It's the best way to figure out what really is the end goal for everyone in the room.
yeah.
So,
Love it. Love it. All right. So, as I mentioned, target audience for the podcast are people who are just transitioning into data, or they're trying to pivot, or they're just starting out their career, or somehow this popped up in the career section of their YouTube playlist. And they're like, what is 10 Minute Tuesday? Let me check it out. So,
yeah.
with that in mind, what is one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career?
My piece of advice, and this is something I've given out to everyone I meet, especially getting into the data scientists, data analysts, and everything, is find some concept that you specialize in. It might be I love sports, I love food, I love this, but at the end of the day, I can go find 100 data scientists if I want to. I can't find a data scientist that specializes in finance or find something that you really love and start to apply that. For me, I love metadata. I use the data governance world, and I can reverse engineer pretty much any relational database, as I've learned. That's my value proposition. I'm not the best engineer. I'm not the best data analyst or scientist, but when I apply it to the things that I do know, I'm better than most, at least that I've been around.
Love that. And I feel like that's a skill set that people don't talk about, especially in today's age of AI, right? I can prompt engineer, I can vibe code, I can do all these
Yeah.
different things. But if you become a specialist like a markman and you are really solid at what you do, like, it will flow in the opportunities that are coming in because you're known as that now at that point.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd say there's probably a market for pretty much anything out there. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right, Jeremiah, tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
I would say the most influential person in my life growing up was my grandmother. She has a story that would take way longer than 10 minutes to get into, but suffice it to say, she was born in Austria in 1914, so grew up kind of in the World War One. And one area that she is different than me is she just knew what she was going to do in her life. And I know that because she started studying to become a doctor in Austria, and then had to flee Austria because of World War II and Hitler. Went to Italy, had to start all over. So she had 2 years under her belt, had to start all over, had to learn Italian. She did. She started all over, did another year of medical school there, had to flee Italy, came to the US, applied to 50 colleges. No one would take her because she was a woman, and they didn't want that. Uh, she got accepted to, I think, the Women's College of Pennsylvania, and started all over. wouldn't accept any credits, nothing. So she started all over, learned English, became she became the first female resident at Columbia, and wasn't allowed to live on campus because they didn't have mixed gender housing. So she had to live off campus. And when everybody came in, she had to troop through the snow from off campus and be there with everyone else. And when she started her practice in Chevy Chase, Maryland, got the basement office set up, and the zoning, the guy came in and said, well, you need permission from 10 neighbors in every direction. Otherwise, we can't sign off on this. Just roadblock after roadblock. And so she walked door to door, 10 neighbors in every direction. And when the gentleman came back, she thanked him and said, well, you know what? I got my first 20 clients. So thank you very much. And I think that story in particular was a lesson to me in that obstacles can be really the impetus for growth, right?
Yeah.
This can make me pivot and go ask 20 people. And without that, she may not have had 20 clients. She may have started with one. And so we don't look at obstacles as like, this is something that's going to stop me. It could be this is something that's going to be really the catalyst to get that growth. And so I try and look at that in everything I do today. So it's like, one problem is not going to be something that stops me. It's just, how do I use this to launch into a new solution?
Love that. Love that. Shout out to grandma. She gave me some advice today, man. Wow. Talk to 20 people, talk to each
Yeah,
direction. So 40 people, half of that, 20 clients. So, that's a good ratio of people to conversion rate, right? It's a good conversion rate.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And just never quit. Find what you want to do and just keep going for it.
love it, man. Shout out, man. Hey, shout out to grandma. Shout out to Jeremiah in the building, man. This is awesome. This is great. This is super, super, super awesome. So good food for thought for me. All right,
Yeah.
Jeremiah, where can listeners find you at online?
I still have a pretty small footprint. You can find me on LinkedIn. Right now, I'm starting to build my independent consulting business. So I'll be starting on LinkedIn and then share from there. It's going to be TD Strategies. And partly my last name, but I'm all about data, so Total Data Strategies. And that's where you find me online today.
Awesome, awesome. Check them out on LinkedIn. Go to tdstrategies.com.
The IO actually.
Okay, .io,
Dot
TD
com was
Strategies.
not available, so I'm playing that game. But yes.
tdstrategies.io, and then just follow up, connect with them. We'll get them getting some content, some blogging, some information out there, man. So, Jeremiah, I appreciate you taking time out today.
I appreciate you. Great meeting you today.
Yeah, likewise, likewise. And then, as I said in the beginning, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Y'all have a great day.